Good morning from Easier Habits Live, your favorite 8 a.m. business live stream. I'm Alec.
And I am Meg, and I'm going to close the door.
Okay, also good. And so today we're going to be talking about, we're going to follow up on that prioritized list and getting into the routine, because it usually takes at least a week to settle that in, but also talk about what we're going to start doing now that we're running ads and we don't have any leads yet. So...
Yes, but first, a communication tip. And I've been talking a little bit about just the ways that we talk to ourselves and the different methods that you can do for that. And one of the things I was thinking would be good to add to that is ways for you to remember all of that, because I don't know about you, but I don't remember most of the thoughts that go through my mind. I think my brain would be a little overwhelmed if I did. I remember impressions, but not specific things. And so there's kind of two ways that I can deal with this. One is I will record myself talking out loud to myself about stuff. And then the other one is writing things down. Now, each of those kind of has their own thing. Sometimes talking out loud will allow you to get stuff out faster, and then having a recording of it obviously you can listen to that later, but then that also takes time to listen to it later, as opposed to writing it down, right? Has the effect of, one, there's something about the physicality of writing that helps our minds remember more, and although it takes a little bit more time in the moment, right, there is again, something about seeing those words written out as opposed to just hearing them that can also help them land in different ways than other forms of self-talk. So whatever works best for you, maybe try both. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be, this 5 pages every day. A few sentences sometimes can be enough to help you kind of reframe and get your thoughts in a good mindset for moving forward. So, and help you to remember, because you can look back at past days and think, oh yeah, I've dealt with this before. Okay, how did I deal with it back then? Okay, let me try that again if it was effective, or let me try something different if it wasn't.
Nice. So how's the prioritized list going? What were your priorities for yesterday?
My priorities for yesterday were, let's see, just a second. I have to think back to yesterday. Yes, there we go. So there were several emails to respond to based on the stuff that I had done the day before. And then outreach specifically, and then checking in on the thing that I did for the Facebook group, which all 3 of those things went really well. I was able to actually get a few people officially signed up for the 5-day challenge, which is exciting.
Yay!
Yay! And I have a few other people who are interested, although they have not officially signed up. So, hopefully that will turn into something. If all of those people end up going ahead with it, then I'll have 6 already, which is great.
That's great, yeah.
If not, then I'm going to continue obviously the outreach until I've got people officially signed up. But I'm getting to the point where I'm not so worried about finding people, because I can also ask those people who have signed up to say, hey, if you know anyone else who wants to do that.
Yep, bring referrals. So yeah, you want to get it having it as large as possible is great. Getting referrals is great. And then, the main goal with the first one is information gathering.
Yes.
So there would be, one, getting testimonials, what works, what doesn't work with that, but also what they're going to use this for, why they're attracted to, etc. That will get us some ideas for use cases, which will have direct application for how we target people, right? Yes. If we know that people are using it for a particular context, or there's like a particular keyword they use a lot, we can figure out some way to target that or put that in our ads, etc. So that will be incredibly helpful. So it's good to know that we already have leads going in that direction. When you're doing an outreach, do you have a volume goal or?
Yesterday I was going for a small but deep volume goal. So I just wanted to do 10, but they were 10 what I guess I would consider to be like hot leads or warm leads or something like that. People that I know are already interested in this kind of thing, who I have or who I believe are very likely to say yes. And kind of explain to them what it was that I was doing and kind of tailor it to them specifically. So, and I hit all 10 of those yesterday, no problem. So I think today I might go for more like actual volume and outreach outside of like my inner circle of people, just to say like, hey, who else might be interested in this thing? So I think that would be good. And for that one, I like my 35 number. I know it's not 100, but it's a good thing that I can sustain.
Well, and that's the point of it. Like, hit what you can sustain first, and then you stretch it out as you can hit it regularly. One thing we were talking about just a few minutes ago is one of the challenges with the trips, right, is not just the time you're gone, but it's essentially like task switching on a macro scale. So now we're getting, to Thursday to get back to the 35 we were doing earlier,
which
a
is
month ago.
Completely valid. Well, and this is something, too, that like, we talked about, I think, before I left, that there's not just the time that I'm gone, but there's the time that it takes me to prepare and to recover. And like, I've got my jet lag and all that, which is pretty much gone, but also just to get back into the swing of life. And each day's gotten a little bit better, but it is a process and it does take time. And so, if trips are something I want to do in the future, which I do, then I have to plan for that, which is part of my business model, and make sure that like if I'm getting paid for these trips, that it is, commensurate to that.
Yeah, all of the time that you're leaving. And I point this out also in part because you're making the call specifically like, I want to go on trips. Yeah. And I've run the calculations, like you've been gone for almost a month. And I would imagine the task switching is at least another month. So out of this whole 8-month stretch that we've done, that's 25% of your time down. Yeah. And so, just to, people who talk about like buckling down, saying no, focusing on only one thing, like there is an upside to that. Yeah. Right. And, I'm thinking positively, and I think we can adjust. And this was, 8 months is actually a very long time. I think if we sprint, we can hit this still. But at the same time, like, there's a part of me that's like, oh, and if you don't get it, will you always wonder if you had 2 additional months, especially like early on, to build momentum? Yeah. Right? It's not just like 2 additional months in time. It's that the 2 months you would have back would be the months at the top of your game. Yeah. Right? It would be like months, 7 and 8 would be the months when you had 6 months of experience. So,
well, and that's, when they talk about like compound interest and stuff, when your savings and things, it's very much like that the time spent up front can pay dividends long after. And so there's a part of me that's like, oh yes, maybe I will wonder now that I think about it.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. But again, part of all of this is, and I'm a little bit more idealistic, I think, than you are in this respect, thinking like, this is a learning experience, but then also like, okay, yes, gotta focus, gotta actually have results, because that is what we're doing to sustain our family. And so kind of trying to take both sides of it, and hopefully, fingers crossed, prayers said, things will work out so that won't be something I have to regret. But also, if it looks like it is going to be something I'm going to regret, then how can I adjust now when we still have a few months left? Right. And so I think that right there is going to be the lesson that I'm going to take away from this, at any rate, which is, okay, now I'm, really something in the fire, there's a saying or something. I can't remember.
Put your nose to the fire.
Yes. That sounds painful.
Nose to the grindstone. Well, and I'm calling this out partly because we're sharing the trip.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't want to guilt you on that. I want to focus for us on moving forward, but at the same time, since we're filming this, it's a little bit like training for a marathon and filming yourself eating a cheeseburger.
Yeah. Well, when you're training for a marathon, you do actually need to eat a lot of calories because you're running so much. But, you know, if you're trying to lose weight and eating a cheeseburger, maybe.
Yeah.
Or training for a marathon and sitting on the couch and watching TV or something. But yes, and that's also kind of one of the reasons why, like, I actually don't feel quite so guilty, which is funny because, you know, usually I think, like, if all of the craziness that is me is exposed to the world, then that's embarrassing because, you know, who wants to show that? But at the same time, recognizing that this is an issue that people have a lot and they wonder, why am I not successful? Why have I struggled with these things? Well, sometimes you're not focused on the things that are actually going to bring you success. As much fun and wonderful as the Japan trip was, right? And so I'm, you know, again, recognizing that as more than one thing being true at the same time. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Well, and kind of my long-term goal is to help people who are not like type A, like obsessed workaholics become successful at starting their own companies.
Yeah.
And so this is something people will struggle with. And I guess we'll kind of see either way. I just want to illustrate that, like, there is an impact, right?
Yep.
Like, this week has been focused on getting you back up to speed, plus 2.5 weeks before that, plus, you know, half a week before that prepared. That's 4 weeks, right?
Yep. Yeah, and that is a lot of time, and I'm still like, oh, it was so much fun though. But also, yes, when you think about when I think about what my goal is and what is important, that is something that I have to be really honest with myself about as well. And so, yes.
Right. I mean, so like the flip side, right, what's writing on this is like, all right, if we can't make a consistent, reliable income with client acquisition, right, you know, our income's fluctuating, etc., then that has huge impacts for who's working. Do we need to both work? How much time do we have for the kids? How much money do we have to take trips? How much money do we have to repair the house? Like, right? Like, exactly. So there's all of that writing on that. So
yeah. And so that's why it's not all about, you know, like fun and happiness. It is also about like the realities of life and trying to make sure that, again, you know, those first priorities are taken care of. So all
right. Well, so, and a marketing update. So ChatGPT's been going, our ChatGPT ads have been going for just a few days. We didn't do straight up ChatGPT. We took a look at what it had compiled from our resource material and then kind of recrafted a lot of them because, for instance, the headlines were too long and the description, the ad copy were too long. We kind of like pulled sentences and phrases from here and there, tweaked it. And it is one ad set, but 3 or 4 different headlines and 3 different body copies. There's only one image, the image you gave me that one time. So we could get more images and test that out. But it's not just one ad, it is multiple ads. It's only running at like, I don't know, $5 to $6 a day, not a ton. But no leads so far, and one of the things that I heartily dislike about the lead gen is it's like, here's impressions and here's leads, but you don't, for instance, see people who like clicked on the learn more to get to the lead form or whatever. All that really helpful information, as far as I can tell, Facebook is not showing, and then because no one's clicking on it, or no, it's not giving you the click data and no one's actually signing up as a lead, you're not getting any like age, gender, distribution, interest information about the people who are signing up. And so in many ways, like our more traditional ads, for instance, for the pitch template, were more successful, at least in the sense that we got like 100 people to click through. We didn't get anyone to sign up on that form either, but we were getting the people clicking through and getting information about who was clicking through, which was better than this lead thing. So I feel kind of meh on the lead form so far. Of course, this is Chat GPT. So next steps for me would be trying to find competitors. Again, I don't think there are a lot in Japan. We've tried to look up, for instance, other Japanese coaches and to see if they're running Facebook ads in Japan, and they're not, or actually if they're running Facebook ads, period.
Yeah.
And we don't see that happening. And so I might have to filch phrases from other places, spend a lot of time with Facebook ad library, etc., and kind of see what's more successful. And then the other thing too would be having our marketing consultant run some ads for us, and I don't, because we have limited time, I probably don't want to go too far into doing ads on my own, but I do think that this model of trying some things and
it's
not being
valuable,
successful,
yeah.
and then having the marketing consultant come in and do it, it's really clear what the difference is. That's highlighted for me because I've tried it and being like, oh, when I did it, I set the audience this way. And that's I guess the other thing we could play with is audience. So when I did it, I set the audience this way, but he did this with the audience, or he did this with the ads, etc.
Yeah.
So that's where we're headed with ads. And again, the whole goal is to have an automated process.
Yep.
And it would be lovely, for instance, if we had some ads that we knew that worked, that went into an automated 5-day challenge, right? And that were just feeding you new warm people who'd been through the 5-day challenge and wanted the next step, contacting you about, hey, I would like one-on-one coaching.
Yep.
So
That's the goal.
That's the dream.
It's the dream.
All right. So business tip, I've been talking about how to focus within the business, not just on your business, but within the business, what to focus on, including stretch goals, SMART goals, prioritizing lists, etc. But a big component of that is saying no, or not now. Now is not the right time. And that's just something you have to practice. I find, especially if that involves other people, like practicing that conversation, if you feel uncomfortable saying no, is a lot more powerful. These conversations that you can have with yourself can include, all right, what can I say no to? And the other thing is, aside from just practicing those conversations, especially with doing some kind of regular review, if not daily, weekly, and cordon off a part of that just for what can I say no to, or what can I delegate, what can I remove. Doing that, if you don't have time to specifically do that, things will tend to just pile up higher and higher and higher.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Until tomorrow, make big changes one small habit at a time.